Somewhere beyond these walls, in Rouen, men in heavy robes are deciding what she is allowed to be remembered as: a saint or a lie, a messenger or a dangerous girl who stepped too close to power. Inside the cell, there is no crown, no army, no banner, just a body they have finally managed to corner, and a question they want answered before sunrise. Not about truth, about surrender, because in a few hours, they will ask her to do something more powerful than confessing a crime. They will ask her to erase herself, to say the voices were never real. That street Michael never spoke. That street Catherine was only silence. That street Margaret never guided her steps. That everything she built was nothing at all. But for her, those voices were real in experience and direction. And politically, they were dangerous because people believed she believed them. And in that moment, history is no longer about what she did. It becomes about whether she will deny that she ever was. Domrémy, France. Long before Rouen, long before chains, there is only wind moving through fields, and a small chapel where a girl kneels longer than expected. She is unnoticed in the way most children are in small villages. Not recorded, not tracked, not historically important yet, but inside her life, something refuses to stay quiet. She speaks of things no one else hears, not as imagination, not as metaphor, but as instruction she experiences as real, a presence that names itself. Street Michael, Street Catherine, Street Margaret, voices that do not ask for permission, only action. And while the world around her is built on land, lineage, and law, she begins orienting herself around something invisible, something absolute to her experience, something that does not compromise. Years pass, and France fractures under war. Kings are uncertain, armies exhausted, entire regions suspended in waiting. Then she leaves home. No ceremony, no approval, no protection, only direction. She crosses hostile territory with persistence that doesn't match her position in society. Eventually, she reaches Chinon. The royal court is not ready for her, so they test her. They hide the Dauphin among nobles, blending him into a crowded hall, a controlled deception. If she is nothing, she should fail here. She walks in, stops, and according to accounts, she's said to have recognized the Dauphin without hesitation, not scanning, not guessing, not searching, just acting as if certainty was already established. The room doesn't react immediately. It absorbs the moment first, then breaks into uncertainty, because something unaccounted for just happened. Either she saw through deception, or she created a level of confidence others couldn't immediately dismiss. Either way, they begin listening. They give her armor, not because she holds formal rank, not because she commands armies alone, but because she has become a focal point others rally around. White metal shaped for someone outside traditional structure. A peasant girl carrying a symbol of war she did not design but is now visibly attached to. She does not function as a sole commander. Instead, she drives morale, direction, and momentum in key moments, especially during uncertainty. At Orléans, soldiers expect collapse. They are trained for retreat more than belief. But she moves differently, not controlling everything, but pushing clarity into chaos. Where commanders hesitate, momentum shifts. Where uncertainty dominates, morale tightens. The siege begins to fracture not only physically, but psychologically, because armies don't only break from force, they break from expectation, and expectation starts shifting. Reims Cathedral, stone rising into silence, light breaking through stained glass like history is watching itself unfold. A king stands before the altar, but the truth is simpler than ceremony. He is there because a path encouraged and insisted upon by her was followed through political uncertainty. Joan stands nearby, not crowned, not institutionalized, not protected by structure, just present, a force that helped carry fragile legitimacy through instability. The crown is placed, the kingdom is declared, and for a moment, history holds its breath. But power does not stabilize easily. It reacts, it reorganizes, it resists. Compiègne, a gate opens, not into victory, but into collapse. A retreat becomes disorder, and in that disorder, she is captured. Not defeated ideologically, but removed physically. And from here, everything changes. Rouen, cold stone, heavy air, a courtroom controlled under English influence, structured through a church trial designed to delegitimize her and indirectly weaken Charles VII's claim to legitimacy. This is not neutral justice. It is political process dressed as theology. Every question is shaped like a blade, not to discover truth, but to dismantle authority built around her. They do not ask what she experienced. They ask what gives her the right to interpret it. No rank, no institutional backing, no approved authority structure, only conviction. And conviction, in this room, is treated as destabilizing. Day after day, pressure builds. Exhaustion becomes strategy. Confusion becomes leverage. Doubt is introduced systematically. At one point, she signs an abjuration, a controlled renunciation of her claims, likely made under pressure and exhaustion. But it does not hold. She later reaffirms her identity and actions, reversing the submission. And that reversal becomes decisive, because now the system has what it needs. Not just dissent, but relapse. The square in Rouen fills, wood stacked, smoke waiting, like a conclusion already written. She is led forward, and now she is formally condemned for heresy, specifically as a relapsed heretic after recantation. White garments placed on her body, not as honor, but as symbolic inversion of purity, turned into spectacle. She is bound to the stake, not just to end a life, but to end an idea that legitimacy can emerge outside permission structures. The fire is lit, and witnesses expect collapse, confession, fear, breakdown. But instead, they see something unresolved. Not surrender, not reversal, not submission. The body is consumed. But the question remains intact. Authorities assume execution resolves instability. But stories do not require permission to spread. Over time, her narrative persists separate from the court that condemned her, and eventually, the system revisits the case. In 1456, her trial is officially overturned, declared unjust and politically compromised. Centuries later, in 1920, she is canonized, not because history changes her, but because time reclassifies what she represented. Joan of Arc was never meant to operate inside the system she entered. No formal training, no institutional rank, no permission structure validating her role. And yet she moved through political and military spaces as a force others chose to align with. Not through command alone, but through clarity that shaped action around her. She did not lead in the traditional sense of full control. She influenced direction, morale, and momentum in moments where certainty was collapsing. Leadership can emerge without permission. Conviction can mobilize people under uncertainty. Visibility creates both influence and risk. And in unstable environments, belief can become a coordinating force. Long after the fire in Rouen faded, the question remained: what if authority was never only granted from above? What if, in moments of collapse, it is also created by those who act with enough conviction that others choose to follow? She is not a miracle, she is a force of conviction that others chose to follow. If this story moved you, there are more like it on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.